If you have been in the Hunt community for a while, you might have noticed that most official posts from Crytek are met with demands for a next-gen upgrade for the console edition. And if you're a PC player like I am, you probably don't give this much thought. I mean, sure, it would be cool if console players got an upgrade, but that doesn't really affect my enjoyment of the game very much. And I agreed with this sentiment until recently when I started thinking about it more. So I did what any normal person would do as I started to think about this console edition. I pulled out my old capture card from the Xbox 360 days, made a mess of wires on my desk, and recorded some Hunt gameplay on the Xbox Series S to give myself an informed opinion. And oh boy, what a painful experience that was. Honestly, I felt like Sarah McLachlan pointing a camera at these poor children. Before we get into why you should care what happens to the console edition, regardless of if you are a console player or a PC player, let's give a little background. So the console edition launched on the 19th of September in 2019 in the Xbox Early Access program and the 18th of February in 2020 for PlayStation 4. So when it was first released, the next-gen consoles like the Xbox Series S and X and the PlayStation 5 weren't out yet. But now, in November 2021, it's been a year of waiting for improvements for those lucky enough to get an Xbox Series console or a PlayStation 5. And just to get a good picture of how much this issue affects the Hunt community as a whole, I took some polls here on the channel and on Reddit. These aren't necessarily scientific fact, but averaged together we can assume that conservatively, about 20% of the Hunt Showdown community is stuck on the console edition, and around half of those are people playing on next-gen consoles. So keeping in mind that this topic affects around 20% of the people that are passionate about Hunt, let's talk about what it means for the community as a whole. The first aspect I want to discuss is community growth. Basically, the better the game can be, the more likely people are to play it. I'm not saying this to disparage Crytek, but the console edition is just not up to snuff for new platforms. These comparisons I'm showing you don't do enough to convey how rough the console edition is. Almost every graphical aspect feels like a significant downgrade from the PC version. And for now, Hunt might be the best extraction shooter gameplay-wise, but other competitors in this space are already offering graphical enhancements that Crytek isn't. Vigor, a game by Bohemia Interactive, offers 60 FPS on Series consoles. Battlefield 2042's Hazard Zone is Series S and X optimized. The visual fidelity on both of those games is already much better than what you can find on Hunt. And as more competitors enter this space and offer higher fidelity and support, Crytek will have to compete for players interested in this type of game. And as the console edition is now, I don't think it will be able to compete for long. I appreciate that a lot of work went into making the console edition happen, and I understand that the console version is largely limited by the hardware constraints of the Xbox One and the PS4. But with this new holiday season, more and more people will be making the next-gen transition. Will they be willing to play this version of Hunt? I'm not convinced. So bringing this back to community growth, there are millions of people who play console on a daily basis that would potentially be interested in playing Hunt. But if their only experience with the game is the console version as it exists now, this could severely hinder the growth of the console player base and the community as a whole, which means less players to join the Discord and subreddit, less people to create and watch Hunt content, and most importantly, less money going into Crytek. Which brings us to our next point, game development and longevity. A lot of people seem to forget this, but Crytek is a business. They have to bring in money to pay their employees, keep the lights on, and ultimately afford to develop their games. The more people that play Hunt Showdown, the more likely they are to purchase legendary skins, or buy blood bonds, or gift a copy of the game to friends. And the more money that goes to Crytek, the more the company can afford to put into adding more content into the game we love. I would wager the reason we haven't heard about the next gen upgrade is probably due to limited resources. And this isn't exclusive to the console version either. PC users spend money too. But if you are planning a budget, and 20% of your source of revenue might not choose to purchase your product in the next quarter. Well, that would sound some alarm bells, right? And I'm worried that might be the case with Console Hunt. The people that love it are going to play it regardless. But in the coming years, I can't imagine next-gen owners playing a game that utilizes none of the features in their shiny new consoles. So, as a PC player, the console version does not affect me all that much, but the implications of the console version do. If we see Crytek double down or offer a next generation of support, then hopefully that means Hunt has a bright future of support ahead of it on both platforms. But if the upgrade never comes, we might just be riding this out until the servers are turned off. Oh, and 20% of the people you interact with online will be salty about it, which bodes well for a positive, inviting community. I understand that's a bit of hyperbole, but my point is, eventually the PC version is just going to outpace the console version by too much, and there will be a large section of the community bitter about the state of the game, even if the PC version is great. And having played the console version for a few hours now, I would say those negative feelings are justified. So, very quickly, let's just talk about the road to redemption, or the road to improving the console version. The Xbox Series consoles and the PS5 have both made headlines for being easy to develop for and port to. Xbox has features like FPS boost and auto HDR, which are done by the Xbox hardware team and require no input from the developer other than approval. PlayStation's version of this is called Performance Boost, and it sounds like a similar process. These two things alone could be an improvement for Console Hunt. The frame rate and resolution are the hardest knocks for me personally. Also, we recently saw the release of Crysis Remastered for all major consoles. The remaster features next-gen improvements like higher frame rates, higher resolution, ray tracing support, and more. If there is a console version of the CryEngine that supports these things already, then perhaps we aren't too far off from a major upgrade to the console edition of Hunt. But it seems we will have to wait to see how well CryEngine scales. I'm sure all of these improvements took years of effort, and it's not just like, check this box for ray tracing. But these two options seem like the most likely for a console edition improvement. Either platform level auto improvements or a scaled version of CryEngine used to overhaul Hunt Showdown. And once Crytek decides how they want to improve the game, they will have to navigate what to do with the two versions of Console Hunt. Players on new consoles would obviously have a significant advantage with higher frame rates and visual fidelity, and I highly doubt the console version has the sort of player numbers to pull these two versions into separate servers. But PC players already have to contend with this. Some users play on potatoes while others are rocking the most recent hardware. I think this is just the new norm, as messy as it is. Console players might need to prioritize having a better game available to them than being the most competitive Xbox One player. So that's my thoughts on it. We should all care about the console edition because it is a large section of the Hunt Showdown community, and it affects how much revenue Crytek brings in, and that in turn affects how much support and for how long Crytek can offer for Hunt Showdown on both platforms. For me personally, I would love to have all these features and see Hunt on an OLED TV. I'm sure it would look incredible. Anyway, tell me your thoughts down below. What do you want Crytek to focus on? What are your top demands? Let me know. Maybe someone at Crytek will see this video. But until the next one.